United States Government Lesson Number 9. The Roles of the President. President qualifications. Natural-born citizen of the United States, can be born abroad of American parents, must be 35 years of age, must be a resident of the United States for 14 years, but not necessarily the 14 years preceding the election. The two-term president. FDR was the only president to win more than 2 terms, which was he was president from 1933 to 1945, and he led the U.S. through the Depression and World War II. George Washington set the precedent for the limit of 2 terms until the 22nd Amendment made it law in 1951. Benefits of the presidency. A nice house, which is the White House, a salary of $400,000 a year, expense account of $50,000, travel expenses of $100,000, entertainment account of $19,000, retirement of $207,800 per year. A personal airplane, which is Air Force One, a place in the country, as in like a house in the country, which is Camp David, free medical care, and Secret Service protection. Presidential succession. If the actual president dies, it goes to the vice president, who is currently Mike Pence, then to the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, then to the Senate President pro tempore, Charles Grassley, then to the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, then to the rest of the presidential cabinet in order of creation. President disability. The 25th Amendment creates the title acting president, mainly used when presidents undergo medical procedures. Could be used if there was an assassination attempt. Vice President is generally an insignificant office. They preside over the Senate and help determine questions of presidential disability. Right now, that's Mike Pence. Rules of the President. 1. Chief of State. Acts as an example for and symbol of the United States. Represents America at special occasions and ceremonies. Kings and queens are heads of state. Awarding medals and speech-making are examples of this role. 2. Chief Executive. Acts as boss of federal government workers in 15 executive departments. These departments help the president carry out, enforce, or execute the law. The president chooses cabinet members to advise and assist him. For example, holding cabinet meetings and appointing federal officials. The offices of the executive branch are found in the White House and other federal buildings in Washington, D.C. 3. Chief Diplomat. Conducts foreign policy by directing the actions of American ambassadors. Signs treaties and trade agreements with leaders of other nations. 4. Commander-in-Chief. In charge of U.S. Armed Forces. President decides where armed forces are to be stationed, weapons to be used. Secretary of Defense under President. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs is the top military commander under the President. 5. Chief Legislator. Congress has the power to make laws. The President can propose bills and must sign bills into law. He often calls members of Congress to lobby for his agenda. He presents his agenda to Congress in the annual State of the Union address. 6. Political party leader. Face of the President's party. They give speeches and have events relating to their party. 7. Economic planner. Monitors unemployment, inflation, taxation, business, and general welfare of the nation. He does not control the economy, but he gets credit if the economy goes well or blamed if it goes badly. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of learning about the U.S. government. I'm not really sure what number episode it is, but today we're going to be learning about the judicial branch. So, in the United States, there are 2 major court systems, the state court and the federal court. Within the state courts, there are several levels, and within the federal court, there are several levels. We're going to start with the state court and go from the lowest level to the highest level. So, the lowest level of the state court is the municipal court. And the municipal court, or the city court, they deal in tickets. They handle local city ordinances. Some smaller cities share a municipal judge. Most are part-time courts, and only Madison and Milwaukee have full-time courts. Judges are elected locally, and they serve 2-year terms. Most municipal judges are lawyers, but they don't have to be. Then the level after that is the level 1, which is the Wisconsin Circuit Court. So for this area, it would be the Rock County Circuit Court. You have it's the first trial with the jury. The basic state trial court. Each of Wisconsin's 72 counties comprises the circuit, at least one branch. 27 circuits contain only one judge. The Milwaukee County currently has 47 branches/judges, and in this one you get a jury. The level after that is Wisconsin Court of Appeals. You ask for an appeal if you lost at circuit court. There's no jury in this Court of Appeal. There are 4 districts in Wisconsin with 16 judges. Panels of 3 judges typically hear appeals. The court is unified, so decisions from any district bind all the circuit courts and all of the other districts. Then the highest level is the state Supreme Court, which is in Madison. You ask for an appeal if you lost at the Wisconsin Court of Appeals. There is no jury here either. There are 7 judges called justices, and they are elected for a 10-year term, and they're nonpartisan, which means that they don't run for a specific party, so they're not Democrat or Republican. People submit petitions for the court to hear their case. 3 of 7 justices must vote to hear the case. No jury. They need 4 of 7 justices to rule in your favor to win a case. Now we're going to look at federal courts, starting at the lowest level and moving to the highest. The lowest level is the U.S. District Court, a basic trial court for federal crimes. Jury is provided. 94 federal judicial districts and at least 1 per state. California and Texas each have 4. Wisconsin has 2. There are Eastern and Western districts. The Eastern District sits in Milwaukee, with Milwaukee and Green Bay divisions. The Western District sits in Madison. They deal with federal law. They cannot handle state law cases, as in they're not allowed to, not that they're not able to. The district courts are all equal sisters. No district court is bound by the decisions of any other district court. The grand jury is 16 to 23 people who hear a case and decide if enough information was presented to bring a person accused of a crime to an indictment, which is a formal accusation of committing a crime. Or a trial jury is 6 to 12 people who hear the evidence of a case to enter a verdict of guilty or not guilty. The level above the U.S. District Court, is the Circuit Court of Appeals, but again, it's the federal level. You ask for an appeal if you lose at district court. There is no jury. 12 sister circuits. No decision of any circuit is binding on any other. Decisions bind governmental entities located within the circuit's geographical area, but not the state courts. And the highest level of judicial stuff in the United States is the United States Supreme Court. It's the final stop. You ask for an appeal if you lost at appellate court, which is the same thing as the Circuit Court of Appeals. Appellate is another version of the word appeal. There is no jury on the Supreme Court. There are 9 justices that serve for life. They are called ghosts of past presidents because they are appointed by a president and then approved by the Senate. They can be impeached, but it says only one, but I'm not sure if it means only one has ever been impeached or none of them have. Actually, I think 3 have, is what my teacher said. It wasn't part of the notes. You can only do a trial for the United States Supreme Court once. It's the court of last resort. Court decides which cases to hear. Most judges are in their 50s or higher when they're added to the court. The current Chief Justice is John Roberts. The first woman justice was Sandra Day O'Connor, appointed in 1981. The first African American justice was Thurgood Marshall, appointed in 1967. Vacancies occur from death, resignation, or impeachment. Only 75 to 100 out of 7,000 cases are heard per year, potentially, in the Supreme Court. The rule of 4. If 4 of the 9 justices want to hear a case, it moves forward. The writ of certiorari, which I probably am not saying right, so I'm going to spell it for you. It's Certiorari. And it is an order from the court to a lower court to send up the records on a case for review. Briefs are when lawyers on each side submit a written statement. Oral arguments are when a lawyer from each side is allowed 30 minutes to summarize a case. The Friday conference is a very secret meeting in which justices debate cases. The majority must be in agreement for a decision to be made. The writing of opinions is very important. It sets a precedent for lower courts, allows courts to communicate with the president, Congress, and interest groups. And the writing of opinions is when a case is finished, both sides of the judges with different opinions, write down their opinion and why they have that opinion, so the logic behind it, and then they send it to other places so other places can see where the top kind of justice authorities in the court system have to think about it and then can potentially change their views about a subject. And then majority opinion side expresses the views of the majority of the justices, and the dissenting opinion expresses the opinion of the justices on the losing side. And that is the end of this section.